You're tuned in to a one-take
podcast production.
You're listening to It's Not Fantasy, It's Reality.
What's up, world? You tuned in. I'm back, and I'm not sleepy today, so I will not be ending this podcast. You tuned in to It's Not Fantasy Reality, the weekly stock report, as we set you guys up for the weekly fantasy games, as FanDuel and DraftKings they call them, the daily fantasy games. Today I got a guest. He came on early this summer for the Lions. I got my man Chris Coaston back in the building.
What's going on, world?
So we gonna sit here and give y'all, as we don't think, we pretty much know we some fantasy experts. We're gonna give y'all a briefing of a good lineup for your FanDuel. I will update this by Sunday. So first and foremost, it is kickoff night. This is probably the greatest night of the year. I'm sorry, opening day to baseball. It's like when opening day in baseball, that day feels great. Then it goes back to just watching the game here and there for most casual sports fans. But when opening game for football comes, like that Thursday, your palms are just itching till Sunday comes to really get a full dose of football.
Yeah, you link up. You know, I don't know too many people that go to Buffalo Wild Wings to go to any restaurant for the opening day of baseball.
Well, now for opening day baseball, all the restaurants, me working at the beer company, everything be full for that. Like even this year, I'll end up being in Buffalo.
I said I don't know too many people I know.
Yeah, I made a mistake and was in Buffalo's on opening day, and it was just not Buffalo. I was at Applebee's for opening day for the Tigers, and it was bananas. Like, you know, but after opening day, it kind of dies down. But every Lions game,
True.
Buffalo's is full. Yeah. Football's is full. We saying Lions because we are diehard Lions fan. We are in the city of Detroit. Tonight we got going none other than the returning champions, as you guys know every year. The Thursday game is the returning champion versus whatever opponent. So we got an old generational team which had a great legacy, and we have maybe this generation's version of the Steelers, because the Steelers dominated pretty much the 70s, and this New England team with the 2 Super Bowl losses and the 3 wins, or is it 4? It's 4 wins, right?
Who was that again?
The Patriots. They got 4 wins and 2 losses, right? Or is it 3 and 2?
Super Bowl, yeah, 4 and 2.
So we looking at the most of our adult lives. We've seen them in the Super Bowl 6 times. Yeah. That's this modern day dynasty versus the Steelers, which actually been to 2 Super Bowls in this decade as well.
They won 2.
They won, yeah, 1. So they went to 3 then, right? Because Ben got 2 rings and a loss. So we looking at a team combined that they've been to 9 of the last whatever amount of Super Bowls has been. So with tonight game, fantasy value-wise, we already know that with Brady starting, half of America who drafted Brady late or wherever they took him at automatically put him in the starting lineup. I necessarily didn't, but that's because I'm an a-hole and I like to keep my people waiting. I am starting Brady in our league tonight. I just want to let her.
I'm glad you came to
I just want to let her sit. You know, only reason, because everybody know I'm big on Eli this year. Only reason I'm starting Brady against this particular person, I don't respect her team, and she just was talking so reckless about how bad Brady was, and I'm just like, whatever. I just want her to get a front row view of what she dogged. Her and her counterpart she brought into the draft, who I don't know why he was sitting there doing all that talking. But Brady should give you some value tonight. Of course, Gronk should be a fantasy stud tonight. He should be a must start. Of course, on Pittsburgh side of things, we know Antonio Brown.
You're gonna start him. I mean, if you got Antonio Brown, you gotta start him. Being Roethlisberger, I'm not sure if you gotta start him or not. Me personally, I probably wouldn't start him unless I didn't have a better option. But as far as daily leagues, I wouldn't run to start being Roethlisberger today. Just off the simple fact, just because I don't like starting people on Thursday night games. To me, it's a disaster. I don't see a lot of high scoring. But you had a different opinion on it.
No, but I was about to say the same thing. I mean, last year was different. I think a lot of people get caught up, especially with these daily fantasy games, where they're going to start a bunch of players in this game, and then you come Sunday, you getting your ass tore up because you don't have nobody to play. That's right. One reason I'm scared to start Brady, because if you play fantasy, I don't care if you're in a 6-6-6 or a 6-6-4, you rely on your quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger has the ugliest suit on ever right now as we watching TV. As we getting ready. He looked like Steve Harvey off of the Steve Harvey show. So if y'all watching the TV, man, somebody please tweet Ben to take that ugly out. Matter of fact, Ben is a must not start because of that suit. He just had on a blue and white pinstripe. That's like one of those ones you get from like the Men's Warehouse. Buy 3 get one free.
If I'm not mistaken, he had some yellow in that top.
Oh my goodness!
That was,
I don't even know where we left off at. That was I don't even know. That was hideous. But I think we may have left off at the part where I was saying people jump the gun and start them in. You know, if you're in a 6.66 or a 6.64, your quarterback usually is where you get a boatload of your points from. And I like my quarterback to be going on Sunday. I don't want my front end already in play. Now I'm banking on these wide receivers, these running backs to get me some points because I'm one of the ones I personally like having a quarterback being my last to go because it's like I know I'm comfortable.
But see, seeing that, but by you saying that, it sounds to me like you got a little bit of reservation. You know, if you had A-Rod starting on the Thursday, there's no doubt that you're going to start him regardless of who the opponent is, right?
It depends with me, once again. I don't like to, but I play the matchups. If I have to, you're going. You know what I mean? Like, I trust him. I trust A-Rod versus pretty much any defense more than I trust, per se, my guy Eli this year opening up against Dallas.
Okay.
Because Eli is notoriously known for starting slow. Regardless of how big of a year I think he's going to have, I trust Tom Brady versus this newly looked Pittsburgh defense than Eli going to Dallas, a divisional opponent, opening week. Eli's bound to get me like 3 interceptions this week.
Okay.
You know, regardless of
maybe 4 out of the 16 weeks they play, he's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean that may be it.
But you know my sentiments on Eli Manning.
Yeah. So that may be the thing with Eli, but I'm not really worried about Eli.
You should be, being that he's on your fantasy team. But
he's on every. Bubba's on every fantasy team of mine. Every fantasy team I got Eli going. I mean, I think big years for Eli, but we'll talk about Eli on another segment with y'all because I do think Eli will be a good play, but not this week. Also in this game, we mentioned Antonio Brown, which, as Chris alluded to, a must start. If you're not thinking about starting Antonio Brown, I really don't know what's going on with you. Now, on the other side of things, sleeper-wise, in this game,
let's say another reason why you must start Antonio Brown. New England, I want to say they're missing maybe 2 of their starters from defensive backs.
Yeah,
the defensive back last year. So that's another reason. Antonio Brown was quite arguably the best wide receiver last year. So if you had any doubt in your mind, don't.
With that being said, with they corners being down, does that make Ben jump up? Like for a daily fantasy player, right? Does that make Ben actually that more of a sexier look? Because like here you go, if I'm not mistaken, Ben is going for 8,400 on FanDuel, 8,600. Brady is going for 84, which that takes a chunk of your 60,000.
Yeah. Do
you wait and go A-Rod or Luck this weekend?
Actually, I would feel more. A-Rod has got Chicago.
Go A-Rod. If you got the money to spend, you just go ahead and go A-Rod.
I do
Chicago.
like Big Ben, but if I had to choose, I would go A-Rod. But if you're looking for a value, I would go Ben over A-Rod because you do want to, when it comes to daily leagues, you want to find the most value for your team. So Ben Roethlisberger, maybe somebody like Carson Palmer who's playing New Orleans, who I believe defense stinks. And maybe somebody like Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill's going for 8,000, which may not be a bad look. But I'm going to go home for a minute. Matthew Stafford versus San Diego. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel good about that because Detroit is on the road, for one. So I'm not sure how upgraded the offense is going to look. So I'm not ready to buy in just yet on week 1 in the daily league. So I want to see how well he performs in San Diego on the road. If he does go in San Diego and light it up, then yes, of course his stock is going to shoot up. But I'm not ready to buy into that just yet.
What about Teddy Bridgewater going for 7,200 against San Francisco?
San Francisco, well, once again, I'm not ready to buy into that. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I love this guy since college.
Yeah.
But he's steady progressing, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to buy into him, especially for this week. Of course, we want to shoot down San Francisco. That pretty much everybody on the team retired.
Yeah.
Retired or quit and got traded or released or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still a professional team. I'm not sure if Teddy Bridgewater is. I'm not ready to do that just yet. I'm thinking
the same. Like I say, sleeper wise, I'm thinking if you go on budget, Tannehill looks like a safe play versus Washington. I just think Washington is in so much turmoil. I don't know what's going on there. Carson Palmer against New Orleans, if you just want a decent amount of points, maybe he's not going to set the world on fire, but he can be consistent enough.
It's possible. I believe New Orleans defense stinks.
I believe that too, but I just don't believe in Carson. Like, Carson has time and time again let me down. Like, it seems like he's lost the ability for big play. I also believe a very, very, very deep sleeper. I'm talking deep sleep. Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Cleveland may do something for you, especially at the value of 6,800. I'm not saying do it, but if you built your team stacked everywhere else, he is another one that I'm looking at that you can get and do something with. Same thing, last one on the sleeper tip, Andy Dalton against Oakland at 7,100.
I like that one as well.
I'm
not sure about Ryan Fitzpatrick. You might stay sleeper.
That's a sleeper, though. That's a deep sleeper.
Joe, don't throw Joe Hayden's way.
Yeah, I love Joe. Even though Joe got burnt a lot last year. Now, I'm going to say this, and everybody say, whoa, Dad, you tripping. I had him rated as my number one player in fantasy, but my do not touch in FanDuel this week, especially at 9,200, is Andrew Luck. Because you can get other quarterbacks to fill your team and get better value at other positions just for the simple fact that Buffalo defense did not let one quarterback go over one touchdown. No one threw for more than one touchdown against them. Second of all,
that's a hell of a stat.
Second of all, as much as I hate this guy, he's a defensive-minded coach. Rex Ryan is the head coach. He will put his fingerprint all over that defense, and he got some monsters there. He got Marcellus Dallas. He got what's the guy? Mario Williams. The corners are nice. Leotis McKelvin. All them guys are there. Because actually, on Madden, I started my franchise with them last night. So I got even more in depth. I would say stay away from Luck only because it's a bad matchup, and it's not like you're drafting these players. This is a team you're putting together.
They don't have what is his name? The coordinator.
Jim Shorts.
Jim Shorts there.
No, he left. But, I mean, it's a Rex Ryan defense. I mean, look at what he did in New York. I mean, as much as that team stunk offensively, the defense was never a question. It was never a question.
I agree with you.
So that'd be my do not touch, just because you can get great value for other positions, like right here, running back. You're gonna pay $9,200 for Andrew Luck versus a tough defense when you can put that in your back pocket and pay $9,200 for the best running back in all of football. He's back. I know y'all gonna say, "Well, your old podcast you had a rating 7." That's because I didn't know he was playing, but he's back. He has on his uniform Adrian Peterson.
Now, I wouldn't be mad at that because, it is some questions in the air about San Francisco's everything about their team, not just the defense. But also, you want to put at least one or two, maybe 2 or 3 studs in your lineup when it comes to FanDuel. If you can't try to put at least, someone that you feel real comfortable with. Adrian Peterson would be somebody that I would feel real comfortable with starting this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, AP is one of the ones that I feel extremely comfortable with. The matchup is nice.
Eddie Lacy is another one. I know I'm picking on Chicago. I'm sorry to any Chicagoans that's listening, but your defense stinks. So, I mean, I'm going to start I'm going to pile up. If I can start a Devontae Adams or, for a cheap price, if he's pretty cheap, I haven't got to him yet. Or, Aaron Rodgers, if you wanted to have a stud at quarterback, I don't blame you. If you're going to start anybody from any team this week, it's going to be from Green Bay against Chicago.
And I agree. I totally agree there. When I say I totally agree, I mean, I say this all the time, I know y'all know this. When you're a fan of one team, you become a scout of that division. And the Bears look as horrible as they've ever looked in our lifetime. And we've been around the Bears a whole lot. Yeah. Lacey is one of those guys I still don't personally believe